Because you see, what is your policy on tackling terror? That's very important. And here I would like to bring out two important differences. When the attack on Indian Parliament took place, investigation started very soon, and some of the culprits were actually, they were not only arrested, but the probe went into a judicial trial, and at least the main mastermind was convicted by the trial court. The conviction was upheld by the High Court and subsequently also by the Supreme Court.
Mr. Chidambaram will say exactly the same thing as far as Mumbai is concerned?
No.
What is the difference?
See, first of all, when you talk of Mumbai, Mumbai has seen three ghastly terrorist attacks. First in 1993, second in 2006.
Don't forget what happened before 93, December 92, January 93, when hundreds of Muslims were massacred.
No, let's
post Babri Masjid.
Let's talk about the terrorist incidents in Mumbai.
Okay.
The 1993 matter was tried under which law? TADA.
That's right.
TADA was brought in by a Congress government. We supported in Parliament the introduction of TADA. Subsequently, an improved version of TADA was brought in by our government as POTA.
Now you have a UAPA.
But the difference was the Congress party opposed the introduction of POTA, saying that we don't need a special law, existing laws are enough.
Okay, but you didn't oppose UAPA.
We didn't oppose the UAPA.
Or Makoka, or
certainly not. So this shows a difference between the Congress approach to fighting terrorism and our approach to fighting terrorism. For 4.5 years, from Prime Minister to Sonia Gandhi to the Home Minister, everybody was saying that we don't need a special law. 2611 forced them to bring in a POTA-like law. So it is not out of conviction, it was out of compulsion that they brought in this law.
All right.
Nevertheless, we supported them.
Okay. Let's move on to another subject. Let's move on to what is the difference between 2004 and 2009. Yes, in 2009, the BJP is controlling Karnataka. In 2004, you didn't have Karnataka. You didn't have a solid base in southern India, which you have now. But look at the difference and look at the similarities. In 2004, the Bharatiya Janata Party went to town on its India Shining campaign, and many of us believe it backfired on the BJP. You know, you spend money that belongs to the taxpayer and tell that person he should be feeling good, Sekhad. You know that he should be feeling happy that the government is doing so much. And you know what happened after that. You know, you can't say Sukhad Ehsaas and feel good factor when there are large sections of people who are below the poverty line who will not take favorably to such a campaign.
First of all, Pranjoy, you talk about India Shining campaign, the money spent on Bharat Nirman and on all other government so-called achievements in the last 5 years far outstrips whatever was spent by NDA. And not only that, in all these advertisements, we had not just the Prime Minister, but the UPA chairperson often coming before the Prime Minister. She doesn't hold any government position.
One moment.
Why was Sonia Gandhi being projected at taxpayers' money?
Wait.
Point number one.
No,
but
no, one minute.
I don't want to get diverted.
One second. Are you arguing that the same impact will happen now on the Congress? Because the UPA has been advertising its achievements in February and March and April. So the people of this country will react in exactly the same way they did in the India Shining campaign.
Most certainly, Bharat Nirman's actual achievements, if you see, are certainly not what they are being claimed.
That is your argument or your contention.
I can show you. I can show you with statistics what was promised and what is delivered. But I don't want to get diverted to that subject.
All right.
India Shining, we are honest enough to admit that it was an inappropriate election slogan in 2004.
Now you're saying it should have been India Rising.
India Rising. In fact, the word, the name in Hindi was right, Bharat Uday Yatra. In English, it was translated as India Shining. So we have admitted that as an election slogan, India Shining was inappropriate. A party that says, yes, we committed certain mistakes is a party that is honest with the people. We have, that doesn't mean that in 6 years of Vajpayeeji's rule, we really took the country forward in many areas of which we are proud and the people are proud.
And so the Congress is using the same logic and saying that in the last 5 years, thanks to the National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, thanks to the Farm Loan Waiver Scheme, the government has spent much more on farmers, on agriculture sector. The rate of growth of agriculture has picked up. The rate of growth of the economy had picked up for 4 years until the international economic crisis, over which the government says it has no control, slowed down the economy.
Since you talked about the rates of growth, in 1998, when we assumed office, rate of growth was 5%. We left the economy at 8.5% GDP. From 8.5% in 2004, it has now come down to 6%.
One moment. After having grown by four years in a row by 9%. But one minute.
That was, Pranjoy, also let's, you see, sustained economic growth depends principally on infrastructure development. We gave enormous emphasis on infrastructure development. The most ambitious infrastructure development projects were
Golden
Quadrilateral.
You are supposed to be one of the people who was very forcefully advocating these programs. One moment. These programs continue. We have more programs at hand.
No, what has happened is that these programs, some of these programs are actually languishing. The National Highway Development Project, for example, it's many places it has come down to a pitiable rate of growth. Everybody knows this.
Okay.
Now, my point is that in 5 years of the UPA rule, unfortunately, they did not focus on infrastructure at all.
The UPA says that during the 6 years of NDA rule, there was no focus on agriculture. That the investments which were made by the government of India on agriculture were negligible, that agricultural growth actually stagnated in those 6 years that the NDA was in power, and now agricultural growth has slowly started picking up.
It's such a untenable claim. The agriculture minister, I'm sorry to say, was seen more on the cricket field than agricultural field. In these 5 years, the number of people who committed suicide, I mean, it's a shame on India that we have the Annadata, Kisan, committing suicide because of distress. Even after a package was announced by the Prime Minister in Vidarbha, the suicides continued. Now, having said this, I am not saying that in these 5 years, no good things happened. This is not the negative approach that we take. We similarly say that even before we assumed office in 1998, nothing good happened in India from 1947 onwards. You look at the speeches of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji and Lal Krishna Advani ji in Parliament. So we have given credit to good things that have
being magnanimous and say that okay, these guys, your political opponents have also done good things.
So therefore, what we believe is that let there be good competition between the two national parties.
But you're competing with each other on, making promises. Who gives how much rice to the poor at what price? 2 rupees or 3 rupees a kilogram, 25 kilograms or 35 kilograms. It seems to be what you would describe as competitive populism.
No. You see, unfortunately, the word populism is being sneered at by a section of the intelligence here, and I feel very sad about it. We have an obligation, we as political parties and as parties that get the people's mandate, we have an obligation to the poor. The kind of economic growth that has taken place in India, especially since liberalization, has deepened and widened the rich-poor divide.
Including the 6 years when the NDA was in power?
No, you see, first of all, in 60 years, we have ruled only for 6 years. So, if little bit of time when Morarji Desai was in power, 77, 1 year, 1.5 years. As a BJP-led government, it's only 6 years.
Correct.
Point I am making is that rich-poor divide in this country has grown enormously in the past 20 years and especially in the past 5 years. None other than Bimal Jalan,